Jai Hind students. We had already started this chapter, Understanding a Criminal Justice System. I will just give you a recap, and before that, I hope you all are doing well. So, just to give you a brief about what we had done in the previous class, we had done that. We see that when someone is violating the law, we think of informing the police, but in real, it is the court who decides whether a person is guilty or not. It is not the police officers who decide whether a person is whether a person has done a crime or not. So, while doing or while arresting a person, number of details has to be done. We will be discussing about that now. According to the constitution, every individual who has been charged of a crime has to be given a fair trial, and the four key players in the criminal justice system are the police, the public prosecutor, the defense lawyer, and the judge. We had also done a case study which is there in the book, and we saw that how a domestic servant was charged of stealing a chain, and how eventually she was acquitted by the magistrate. Now we will understand this by this simple explanation. First, let us understand what is a witness and what is a charge sheet. One important function of the police, we all know, that is to investigate any complaint about the commission of a crime. An investigation includes recording the statements of the witnesses and then collecting different kinds of evidence. And on the basis of that investigation, the police is required to form an opinion. Now, if the police thinks that the evidence points to the guilt of the accused person, then they file a charge sheet which is done in the court. So you can see two terms coming, one is witnesses and the next is charge sheet. Police investigations always have to be conducted in accordance with the law and with full respect to the human rights. The Supreme Court has laid down various guidelines that the police must follow at the time of arrest, detention and interrogation. There are few rules which they have to follow, and the police is not allowed to torture or beat or shoot anyone during the investigation. This all we discussed in the live class. We had also discussed about Article 22 of the Constitution, which says that the right to be informed at the time of the arrest of the person of what crime he has done or what offence he has done, and he has to be presented before the magistrate within 24 hours of his arrest, and he has not to be treated badly when he is there in the custody. This is the fundamental right, and then confessions which are made in the police custody, which cannot be used as an evidence against the person who is accused, and a lady and a boy who is 15 years of age cannot be called in the police for questioning. This also we all had done. Now in the book there is DK Basu guidelines. Now the Supreme Court of India has laid down specific requirements and procedures that the police have to follow for the arrest, detention and interrogation of a person. These are known as the DK Basu guidelines. So there are certain rules which have to be followed. Let us see what are they. The police officials who carry out the arrest or interrogation should wear clear, accurate and visible identification, name tags with their designation. This is a self-explanatory term, like whoever is a police person, he should have a name tag, he should have a visible identification, which we can see in the movies also. Then a memo of arrest should be prepared at the time of arrest, and it should include the time and the date of arrest. This should be carried by the police. It should be attested by at least one witness, who could include a family member of the person accused. Then the arrest memo should be countersigned by the person arrested. Means a person who is belonging to the family of the accused has to sign, and the person who is being arrested also has to sign on that memo. The person arrested or detained or being interrogated has a right to inform his relative, friend or a well-wisher. Then when a friend or a relative lives outside the district of where the accused is living, the time, place of arrest and the venue of custody must be notified to the police within 12 hours of the person's arrest. So these are the basic guidelines. Now what is an FIR? Now it is the registration of an FIR that the police can begin their investigations into a crime. The law states that it is compulsory for an officer in charge of a police station to register an FIR whenever a person gives information about a crime or an offence. This information can be given to the police either oral or in written FIR usually mentions the date, the time and the place of the offence and details the basic facts of the offence, including a description of what has happened, the events. If known, the identity of the accused person and the witness can also be mentioned. So FIR mentions what? It mentions mentions specifically about the date, the time and the place of the offence, details or the basic facts behind the offence, and it also includes a description of the event. Then the FIR also states the name and the address of the complaint, somebody who is complaining, the first person who is addressing or who is doing that complaint. There is a prescribed form in which the police registers an FIR and it is signed by the complaint. The complainant also has a legal right to give a free copy of the FIR, to get a free copy of the FIR from the police. Next, this is a copy of the FIR. You can see district is there, the FIR number is there, which acts have been violated, other acts and sections, name, address, everything has been. Now, what is there is a term we had already discussed, the public prosecutor. Now, who is a public prosecutor? A public prosecutor represents the interest of the states. The role of the public prosecutor begins once the police has conducted the investigation and filed the charge sheet in the court. He or she has no role to play in the investigation. The prosecutor must conduct the prosecution on behalf of the state. So he has been appointed, or he does his work on behalf of the state. As an officer of the court, it is his or her duty to act impartially and present the full and the facts which are there in the particular case, the witnesses and the evidence before the court, so that the court can take a good decision. So this is all for today. We will be dealing about this in the next class.